When I first started investigating the Roman Dodecahedron, I didn't expect, even in the depths of my wildest imagination, where this would take me next. I find travelling with a purpose so rewarding. Hello, and thanks for joining me. My name is Matt, I'm a retired engineer, and I've always been interested in the history of the Roman world. What I have to share with you today is something completely new that I've discovered, so it'd be great if you could join me on my next adventure where we will visit and explore the remains of a Roman camp that I discovered on Lidar. This road features in Roman Roads in Britain, a classic book on the subject written by Ivan D. Margery. In its time, this ancient road was comparable to the present-day M6 motorway, which links the south of the country with the north. So it was of strategic importance to the Romans in supporting their conquest of the northern territories. But first, relax, sit right back, and let's take a look at the Lidar image together. First of all, I would like to thank the National Library of Scotland for access to the wonderful collection of ancient maps and of course the Lidar images you are about to see. There is an acknowledgement to them and a link to the absolutely fantastic website in the notes below. Okay, let's dive right in. Here is the Lidar image I want to show you, revealing what I believe to be a Roman construction camp. Just before we start, I would greatly appreciate your comments on my discovery and welcome your feedback, and I will try and keep my observations as objective as I can. It is important to understand that the Lidar image was taken sometime between 2012 and 2022 and is revealing the ground profile down to a resolution of 50 centimetres. This image is being resolved through a moderately dense forested canopy. At this point, while you are studying the Lidar image, I should like to take the opportunity to mention that there are three basic types of Roman camps. There are marching camps which provide protection for troops and transport that were on the move somewhere, so I believe that it's not likely to be just a marching camp. There are siege camps, but in our instance I believe the camp to be perhaps too small for this purpose, and I don't believe there is any record of any famous sieges taking place near this locality. Finally, there are construction camps which are used to support the construction activities of road building and the building of structures. I would now like to expand on my reasons for suggesting to you that what you're looking at appears to be a Roman construction camp. One of the key characteristics of a Roman camp or fort are its rounded corners, and three of them can fairly easily be seen here in this image. The next characteristic of a Roman camp is its proportions. By this I mean the proportional relationship between its long side and its shorter side. Not all, but a very large majority of Roman camps throughout the world are known to have the proportions similar to that of a normal standard playing card. Here is a normal standard playing card. And here is the playing card superimposed onto the footprint of the camp. So as you can see here, there is an extremely accurate similarity between the proportions of the playing card and the proportions of the Roman camp. I'd like to talk next about the overall size of the camp. Using the actual measuring tool that is available on the National Library of Scotland's map viewing platform, I was able to take a number of measurements for both the major wall length and the minor wall length. After an averaging process, I arrived at 238 feet for its length and 169 feet for its width. This agrees exactly with the playing card size ratio of 1.40. The length of the major wall of our camp is extremely interesting. It measures almost exactly 2 actus. 1 actus is precisely 120 Roman feet. So perhaps you can imagine the soldiers using a long piece of string, 120 Roman feet long, to accurately mark out the perimeter of the camp. I really can't imagine that this is just a coincidence. Another chief feature of Roman forts and camps is the Via Principalis. This is a kind of main thoroughfare in the centre of the fort or camp. And perhaps you can see a reasonable suggestion of one of these features in our camp here. It may have been used as a main route through the camp, or as an assembly area, or even a parade ground within the protection of the camp's defensive fortifications. The next feature is not too easy to make out, but on closer inspection there appears to be the suggestion of a possible central Principia area in the camp adjacent to the Via Principalis. Here are a couple of images of typical Roman camps which all show the features of rounded corners, playing card proportions, a Via Principalis and a central Principia where the chief headquarters tent or pavilion was situated. The next point of interest I wish to move on to is the presence of what I believe to be a Roman lime kiln which is positioned adjacent to the southwest wall of the camp. It is the presence of this possible lime kiln that leads me to believe that this was a Roman construction camp. Lime is the principal constituent of concrete and mortar, which were extremely important to the Romans for the construction of roads and buildings. Lime, along with water and sand, which are closely accessible to the site, was all that was required to mix concretes and mortars for construction purposes. Here are some of the Roman recipes for concrete and mortar as mentioned by the famous architect and engineer Vitruvius, who lived in the 1st century BC in his classic work De Architectura. As you can see from the Lidar image, the footprint layout of the lime kiln installation appears to be extremely similar to the lime kilns shown in Dr. Rebecca Jones's excellent lecture on the subject of Roman camps in Scotland, for which I will leave a link to in the notes below. As you can see in this image of what is understood to be either a construction or labour camp, the curious tadpole shapes in the lower left hand corner of the camp are believed to be the remnants on the landscape of Roman lime kilns which were used to construct roads or buildings near the Roman camp of Inch-Tutil. I have looked really closely at the image of the lime kiln installation, and it's really difficult to tell, but there does seem to be the presence of several artefacts within the circular part of the lime kiln installation. This would perhaps explain the size of the diameter being about 60 feet across. But I can only imagine that the full exact details of its secrets would only be revealed during a detailed archaeological excavation. Here is a Roman lime kiln excavation which was carried out at a place called Weekley in Northamptonshire. Here are some typical arrangements of pre-industrial lime kilns, similar to what we are looking at here. I won't attempt to describe the exact details of how lime is produced, but briefly, a limestone charge is heated to approximately 900 degrees C by the use of charcoal and air to produce lime or calcium oxide. Returning to our Lidar image, you will see perhaps the suggestion of another separate enclosure that may possibly have been used as an area to burn the charcoal required for the lime kiln process. But I will stress that this is only a supposition on my part, and again, this detail would only be revealed by an archaeological excavation. Moving on from the lime kiln installation, I would like to move on now to the man-made bank and ditch fortifications surrounding the camp. Here is a substantial man-made bank and ditch arrangement that defends the camp from the southwest. From the image, the bank is about 20 feet wide in places along its length, and the ditch is between 5 or 6 feet at its deepest. There are remains of an additional man-made bank and ditch arrangement providing defences to the southeastern approach to the camp, but these now are less distinctive due to the centuries of farming taking place in this agricultural area. A substantial bank of natural high ground defends our camp to the northeast and the northwest. Finally, but most importantly perhaps, is the proximity of our camp to the major Roman road that provides our camp with its main reason for its existence. So quickly to summarise, here are the chief characteristics that I have identified from the Lidar image that provide the evidence to support my discovery of a Roman construction camp somewhere on the Shropshire Plain. Before we actually visit the site, I must point out that the Roman camp is on private land and access is severely limited without the landowner's permission. Let's go and take a look. I have used the National Library of Scotland's database of all maps to search the site from the present day back as far as the year 1880 and have found no record of anything being built upon the site. I have also searched the Historic England's database archive and there is no record of this site there either, so I can only assume that it must be unknown to everyone and it is a brand new discovery. As you can see here, I'm afraid that access to our site of interest is on private land and is only accessible in parts by permissive footpaths granted by the landowner. So we should respect this situation. Here we are looking southwest towards the extensive bank of natural high ground that defends our camp from the northeast and the northwest. Here we are stood at point 1 on the Lidar image. Perhaps you can see the impression of the rounded northeast corner of the camp here behind me. And I can see the remains of the low turf bank heading towards the northwest. I'm now stood inside the defensive ditch and I'm ascending the turf wall. I'm now at point 2 on the Lidar image, and we're actually going to be walking through a small cutting in the turf bank defensive structure. From the break in the wall, perhaps you can see the impression of the rounded southeast corner of the camp here. I'm now at point 3 on the Lidar image, and you can clearly see here the remains of the man-made defensive ditch and the turf bank running off into the distance, protecting the southwestern approaches to our camp. As you can see on the Lidar image, the turf bank is very distinctive and would have been protected by Roman sudis, or sudis as the correct plural is, tied together to form a defensive fortification, like this. Here we are stood near point 4 on the image. I'm afraid this is all I can show you of the possible lime kiln installation. The bank surrounding this potential lime kiln installation is between 4 and 5 feet high and gives me the impression of being circular in shape when viewed from the southwest. Here I am near point 5 on the image, and I'm looking to the southeast. And behind me you can see the remains of a man-made bank and ditch. To my right is the Roman camp. We are stood on top of the outside defensive bank, and down here is is a man-made defensive ditch. Here I am at point 6 on the image, looking to the southeast, and you can see the final remains of the man-made ditch looking down a substantial natural slope angled about 40 degrees. Presently I am working to identify a local university archaeological department or archaeological society who have the proper resources to carry out a geophysical survey of the site with the cooperation of the landowner. So in the meantime, I'd like to keep the exact location of this possible Roman site a secret for now. And now, it's back to the Batcave. I really hope that you found the Lidar image interesting and that you enjoyed visiting the site with me today. If you've enjoyed the video, then please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will keep you posted of news about the discovery, and I look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now. Are you not entertained?